Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Bleach Soul Society The Rescue Arc, Episode 53, Jin Ichimaru's Temptation, Resolution Shattered. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So the episode starts with Gin meeting Rukia on her way to the execution platform, and he taunts her while she recalls being afraid of him from the moment she met him, likening him to a snake. And then he offers to save her before turning around and saying he was just joking and leaving. And then Rukia, by the end of the episode, arrives at the execution grounds. We do see little snippets of Ichigo, who is still training his Bankai, though Yoruichi does note that they are pretty much out of time at this point. We also get Yumachika, who is fighting against Hisagi, and he makes a note that he has a secret, that the reason he's in 5th place on the 11th squad is because it's the most beautiful number after 3, and position 3 belongs to Ikkaku, and he doesn't want to take it from him, and so he lets himself be in 5th place, and that in the 11th squad it's basically determined that magic type Zanpakuto are weaker and people get made fun of for it, so he hides the fact that his Zanpakuto is actually secretly one of the magic type, and then he releases the magic type on it, and we see vines beginning to grow, but that's all we get, unfortunately. And then we also see Renji being healed by Hinataro, who was freed by Rikatichi, something like that. Anyways, Renji has a fanboy, and his fanboy brought the healer who was helping Rukia too, so that he could help heal him, though they do note that he was mostly healed already, and the silhouette of the 4th squad's captain is seen walking away. And then the main bulk of this episode is taken up by Kenpachi continuing his fight against Tosen's Bankai, which he manages to defeat by the end of the episode, followed then by oh, what is his name? I'm blanking. Komamura, the one that looks like an animal, like a wolf man. He also has a Bankai, which is like this giant fighter warrior thing that kind of hovers behind him. He hasn't started fighting with it yet, though. It is just shown at the end of the episode. But that is Kenpachi's next battle. And that's everything that happened in this episode, though not necessarily in the order that it happened within this episode. So now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, it's time to rank the episode. As always, we'll rank first on the mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. And we'll start with our single arc supporting character introduction. So Kekyo is seen as a background to Tosen. While he's fighting, he just basically sees her become a death god and then die, and says that there's not enough justice in the world, so he's going to kill Kenpachi to bring about justice. And then and I wasn't honestly, I wasn't even sure if I should count it as a character introduction because literally was like 30 seconds. Well, maybe a minute, but very, very short. Either way, still 1 point. Then we have the resolved battle, which is the one between Yumachika Asagawa and Shuhei Hisagi, worth 2 points. Then we have 3 points each. For our multi-arc supporting character growth, we have Yumachika, who reveals his Ruriuro Kujaku, or Azure Peacock. Then we have Tosen's Bankai, Suzumushi Tsuishiki, Enma Korogi, which is like cricket final form, Yama cricket. And it's basically a field that is completely takes away all senses except touch. However, because touch is still there, Kenpachi is able to, once he feels the blade hitting his clothes, start to dodge it, lessening his wounds and the impact of it. And then, of course, is able to grab Tosin's arm, which allows him to then have his senses back, as only the person holding the sword has their senses, which allows him then to attack Tosin a couple of times, and after that it does rip apart his domain that the Bankai created. But before he can give the final blow to Tosin, that is when Komamura comes in and takes over the fight, which again he reveals at the end of the episode his Bankai, which was Kokujo Tengen Myo, which is a Vidyarja of Kala Sutra's Heavenly Punishment, which that's supposed to be the English translation. Two of those words I don't think are English, but that's besides the point. Point is, it is revealed, and again, it's a hovering samurai-looking warrior behind Komamura. Oh, and his mask was broken, and he was revealed to be a beast person. But because I'm rewatching, I already knew that, so it wasn't really a big reveal to me, but just wanted to throw it out there that that did happen. And then we have the negative messaging or behavior, which I think Gin taunting Rukia before her execution, especially with the offer to save her, was an incredibly poor taste. And I think nobody would disagree that it's worth -2 points. Either way, that still leaves us with 10 of the points or more. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so exactly 10 points. It is a 10 out of 10 episode. Which brings our mostly objective ranking list to Flash Goddess Yoruichi Dances, The Despicable Shinigami, Ishida the Utmost Limits of Power, Warning of the Sentence, Gin Ichimaru's Temptation, Resolution Shattered is this episode, 5th place, followed by Hitsugaya Howls, Overcome Your Limits, The Avengers, Rukia's Nightmare, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya, Authentic Records, School of Shinigami, and then in last place, The Reviving Lion. Now, my opinion of the episode, based on entertainment value, Kenpachi's fight was a little bit boring, to be honest, because it was basically him standing around in the dark while Tosin taunted him, knowing he couldn't even hear him because hearing is one of those things that's taken away. So he's walking around, Kenpachi taunting him, and Kenpachi just can't even hear him, so it's like wasted effort. And again, it's boring because it's basically Kenpachi standing around in the dark until he feels Tosin. But there is a cleverness to that fight in that he has to overcome the loss of his senses other than touch in order to win the fight. So we give kudos for that. Komamura's Bankai is a giant thing, but we haven't seen it fight yet, so that's pointless. Rukia, like I said, Gin taunting Rukia, poor taste, was not a fan of that. Still think that Ichigo is taking a little bit too long with his training, and honestly, he should get over that by now, hopefully by the next episode. Now, Yumachika, I was incredibly disappointed. Why? Because in the last episode, I did note that Senbon Zakura is my favorite, potentially favorite, probably favorite Zanpakuto, but a close second, if not even tied for it, is Yumachika's true Zanpakuto, which we see so rarely because obviously he's hiding it because he doesn't want people to know about it. And even in this episode, we get the first hints of it. We have him calling it out. We have like the vines starting to grow, but then it cuts away and we never actually see it come to fruition. And it is literally one of the most beautiful Zanpakuto ever. And it's in its Shikai form. Like it's not even like a Bankai at that point. And we do see the full form later, which is like, again, gorgeous. But I was so disappointed that I didn't get to see it against Hisagi, that they just hinted at it and he told us about it, but we didn't actually get to see the full effect. I was, like I said, so disappointed because it is like my, see, it would probably be my favorite, except like I said, it's so rare and we rarely get to see it. So it's not my favorite for that reason, but like it probably would be if we got to see it more often. And so I was very disappointed that I didn't get to see the full form of it in this episode. I honestly, in my mismemory, my dim recollection from years ago when I last watched this series, I thought we did, and I was so disappointed when we didn't. But at least we got the hint of it, and I do, as always, find Yumachika's um, insistence on everything needing to be beautiful to be hilarious. Like the fact that he is purposefully holding himself back on his squad because he thinks four is an ugly number and his best friend is in third, so his beautiful number he can't get. So he settles for five, which is like the second most beautiful number. And I'm just like, okay, go you. But again, I was disappointed that we got such a short little clip of it. And it's like, why even bother showing me if you're not going to show me the whole thing? You know what I mean? I don't like to be teased. It's annoying. So, having said that, I did give it a 7 because I did think there was a lot of action. I did enjoy the fight with Kenpachi. I do think the Bankais are epic. And we did get that hint of my almost favorite Zanpakuto from Yumachika. But I'm not overlooking the negatives here. And that is why, with the 7, it brings our personal ranking to, in first, Ishida, the Utmost Limits of Power, the Despicable Shinigami, the Reviving Lion, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya, Morning of the Sentence, Hitsugaya Howls. I put this episode in 7th. Gin Ichimaru's Temptation, Resolution Shattered. And I think the resolution shattered is referring to Rukia's resolution to go gracefully to her execution, but then she does that anyways, so kind of confused about that, to be honest. Anyways, moving on. 8. Flash Goddess Yoruichi Dances, The Avengers, Authentic Records, School of Shinigami, Rukia's Nightmare, and then Overcome Your Limits is in last place. Bringing us now to the series ranking so far. Mostly objective ranking, we have Agent of the Shinigami arc in first, followed by Soul Society the Sneak Entry arc, and Soul Society the Rescue arc currently has a score of 98 now out of 220. Personal ranking, Agent of the Shinigami arc also in first place, followed by Soul Society the Sneak Entry arc, but Soul Society the Rescue arc currently has a score of 79 out of a possible 220. But with that, we have now rewatched and ranked Bleach Soul Society The Rescue Arc, Episode 53, Genichimaru's Temptation, Resolution Shattered. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.